Hello, everyone. Natalie here. Today I'm talking about anger. Fascinating topic because it comes up for all of us parents, something we experience very often, not only with our children, but with other people. But today, what I'm addressing is when we get angry towards our child, what is that anger truly revealing? Because anger, just like any emotion, is revealing a message. The anger we are experiencing is our body telling us something. And that's what I'm going to touch on today very quick. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Natalie Lefebvre, and I'm a mom of three boys. And the reason I'm here talking to you is that through my own journey, my boys are 15, 13, and 9, but through my earlier journey of parenting, I experienced a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. I was triggered daily, and I was reacting a lot myself, and I didn't know what to do. And so I know that if you're experiencing that, how frustrating that is. And that's why I'm sharing this information with you so you don't have to continue spending time, effort, energy trying to fix your children's behaviors that are bringing up the anger in the moment, but to actually go to the root cause of your anger. Because that root cause, it's not just our child engaging in something that we are not liking, but it's way deeper than that. So let's start. What I want to tell you as well, from a parent to a parent, from mom to another mom or dad, it's let's stop comparing ourselves to other parents. We are all on this journey. We are all at different stages of our journey. And so if we can just stop comparing ourselves to other parents and where they're at, we will not only minimize the frustration, the triggers as well, but we will also have much more energy to put into ourselves and figuring out what is going on for us and what is contributing to us being angry, being triggered by our children. And also, another thing I want to say up front, and I want to be very clear about this, if you have a hint and you believe that you're not a good enough parent because you make mistakes, because you lose your cool, because sometimes you're just going to throw your hands up and say, I can't do this anymore. If there is a belief that you're not a good enough parent, you need to work on that ASAP, because that belief causes us more harm. And I know you love your child. That's why you're listening to me. I have no doubt about this. But if you have that belief, no matter how much you love your children, you will find yourself in conflict with them often. And so address that belief. If you know offhand this is problematic and you're questioning yourself every week or every day, if you are cut off to be a parent, you need to work on that. Okay, so let's start. We all get angry. Anger is a normal emotion. Just like any emotion, we're all humans, we feel emotion. So anger is part of it. And anger is a natural response to underlying emotions. So underneath anger, there's another emotion that's there usually. And that can be fear, it can be sadness, it can be hurt, pain. So usually every time there's anger, there's an underlying emotion behind the anger. And know that the moment we feel emotion, especially emotions such as anger, we're no longer present in the moment, right? And this is what's happening whenever we get angry, especially when we lose our temper, our cool. In that moment, we are no longer present. So know that for yourself. So I will delve into what is really going on. So the anger that's present right now that you're experiencing in your body, you're getting hot, you're getting tense, your jaw is tensing, the words are coming out of your mouth, or you physically express that anger, whatever you do. Anger usually is revealing first that our boundaries have been violated. So whatever boundaries we have, our children have stepped over the boundaries. If your children happen to step over your boundaries often, then perhaps it's time to review what are those boundaries? What are the rules that you have for them? Are the rules too stringent for our children? So if that's the case, then we need to review the rules that we are putting in place with our children. And it's a good idea to get the buy-in of our children when setting those rules. And maybe there are consequences also that are attached with those rules. Consequences doesn't have to be something hurtful, but something that we as a parent and our children, we agree on when they break the rules, right? So just like if you run a red light, there could be a fine with that. That's the consequence of you taking the risk to break that rule. So with children, yes, we need to set boundaries, and we also need to set the consequence, but we also need their buy-in. They have to buy into it. And because when they have the buy-in and they understand, if I go over this, then this is what's going to happen. And I've agreed to it. And often it helps to allow our children to repeat what the rules are and what the consequences are going to be if they break the rules. So it's very clear to you and to them that if those rules are not being met, then there's a consequence to it, and they've agreed to that, right? So then you don't go into arguments because it's already set with their buy-in. So if they're breaking the rules, then there's something not working for them. And we need to go back to the drawing board and find out why. Okay, so that's one thing the anger is revealing. On that same note, it can also reveal that we as a parent, we have violated our own rules and we did not do what we said we would do. Example, for me, I know I'll give you a concrete example. If I know there's something for me to take care of, and I also need to help my children with their homeschooling in the morning, then if I say I'm going to wake up 30 minutes earlier and I'm going to address this thing that I have to take care of, whatever the thing may be. Maybe it's your alone time. Maybe it's a call that you need to make. So you get it out of the way. But if I don't take that half an hour, I don't wake up earlier and I don't take care of it then, and I try to do it while I'm with my kids, that's a recipe for disaster. And then we can see the reactions happening of our children because we don't have focused attention on them, and they feel it and they act out or whatever they do, or they don't listen to us, and we're trying to make a phone call, we're trying to do something else at the same time, boom, that's a disaster. And so we get angry, but really we're getting angry because we violated that rule for ourselves. When we say we're going to do this, but we don't do it. Okay, so that could be in any situations or circumstance and can look differently for everybody. Number two, if that anger is also revealing that we're stressed and overwhelmed. So not feeling supported, and now we're depleted. So when we're depleted, we don't have the capacity to be patient with our children. We don't have that in us. So most likely we get triggered, and then we get angry because we're triggered, right? So if that's the case, if you're stressed, overwhelmed, depleted, then what needs to happen is you need to reprioritize your time and your activities that you're doing. Everything in your life. Go back again to the drawing board and see what is a priority and what's not a priority, and reprioritize so you don't keep doing until you're fully depleted. Another thing is we can't do everything as a parent. And I know there may be some single parents here listening, and you don't have a partner, which makes things more difficult. I can acknowledge that for you, but it's important that you ask for help. If you don't have a partner, ask for help from a friend, family member, if you have them. If you don't have friends, you don't have family member, other moms, join a mom group. When my kids were young, I have a husband, but when he's working, I can't ask him to help me out during the day. So I went to the gym. At the gym, there was a daycare. At least I could work out. And for 1 hour, somebody else was taking care of my child. And because I've taken care of myself working out, then I have more capacity and patience with my children, and I can take care of them for the remaining of the day. Yeah. So know that if you're angry, you're depleted, you're overwhelmed, that may be an indication there's too many things going on. You need to reprioritize. You need to ask for help. You need to recharge your batteries, because otherwise you just keep running on empty. And that's a recipe for more anger to come up for you. Number 3, our child is having trouble meeting our expectations. And we usually get angry when, in the moment, we have an expectations of how things should go, how our children should behave or not behave like this. And when our child is choosing a behavior that's substandard, meaning they're not meeting our expectations, then we get angry in that moment. So we make it mean if the child is not meeting our expectations, they're not listening to us, they're not cooperating, they're not working hard enough, whatever it is, and we have that expectations there and they're not meeting it, boom, we will get angry. So then it is necessary to review also our expectations of what our children can do or cannot do. And sometimes it may be necessary to lower our expectations with whatever is going on that's triggering to us, and not make it mean that they're doing it on purpose or they're just lazy and they're not putting any effort. Again, that's a perception that we have, and that may not be true. And most of the time it's not true. There is something going on with your child. Maybe at school, there's something bothering them, or at home, they are not getting enough sleep, whatever the case may be, that they're not able to meet the expectations, then we have to meet them where they are. Yeah. Number 4, very important. here. Whenever we get angry, and if we get angry a lot, and it's the same kind of things that usually that trigger the anger in us, most of the times it's because of unresolved childhood issues, our own childhood issues related to our own needs that were not met, especially our emotional needs that were not met. And they are painful ones since we were children. And what happens when we have children, they tend to stimulate the same intense feelings that we had during our own childhood. Yes, so sometimes maybe we were really angry as a child because we were not able to say what we wanted to say or choose what we wanted to do. But it wasn't safe for us to express that anger or to show that anger because maybe nobody else was showing any anger. They were just repressing anger. So we don't know how to express anger. Or there was a very painful consequence attached to us expressing anger. We would be isolated, punished in a way that was painful. So if we've experienced that, we often respond unconsciously when our child is doing something and it's triggering us, it's making us remember something from the past. Yeah. The fears, the unexpressed rage of our childhood are powerful and they can overwhelm us as adults if they haven't been processed and resolved. So whatever pain, whatever wound that you've experienced as a child, emotional wound, then often we will experience something with our child that's going to touch upon those wounds, and boom, we go into this uncontrollable trigger and emotions coming up for us. Because a lot of our anger perhaps were suppressed or repressed. So that anger got stuck in us. It was immobilized in us. So when our child does something that reminds us of our own anger as a child, boom, it comes up for us, and it comes up tenfold because it's not just you're angry about the situation with your child, but you're also angry about the past situations where you were not able to express that anger. Because often it was met with an unsafe situation. Yeah. So, for example, a good child does not get angry, right? So that's something maybe as a child we learn. If you want to be a good child, you don't get angry. So we learn to suppress the anger, which gets stuck in the body, right? And now that we see our child expressing their own anger, it may be really triggering for us because it will remind us, okay, wait a minute. When I was a kid, I wasn't able to express this anger. That was a no-no. And maybe that's what we subconsciously believe about anger, that it should not be expressed. And now seeing our children doing it, boom, it makes us really angry. And what is it about? It's about our own past suppressed anger. So if that's the case, if you're experiencing that over and over and over again, know that it can be addressed. There are very effective and easy way to access those past childhood wounds and to heal them now. Because if you don't, guess what? Your child will continue to trigger you. And then no matter how many times you say, I will stay calm, I will stay calm, I will stay calm because I know I should stay calm, boom, you'll find that you are not going to be able to do it. And then there's so much guilt and shame that's attached to it. How do I know that? I've been there myself. And that's what took me on this journey to really get to the root of my own anger and frustration. And when I was able to understand where that came from, I was able to change the meaning I put to that anger when I'm triggered. And then when I change the meaning, I change the emotion that I'm feeling. I don't feel angry anymore. Yes, it may be annoying, but I'm not like supercharged and exploding like a bomb with my child. And that's possible for you as well, because not only was it possible for me to switch this around, but I've helped so many parents switch this around. And I posted a testimonial recently about Sophia, who came to me, who was experiencing these explosive moments with her 4-year-old daughter. And when we worked together, she was able to get to the root cause of her own anger. And now she's able to respond to those triggering situations with her daughters, but not react and exploding like a volcano. If you want to learn how to manage your anger and do it in a way that addresses the root cause of it, so every time if the emotion comes up for you or you get triggered, you'll know what to do in the moment, because you know that it's not your child that's making you angry right now. That powerful emotion that's coming up has to do with something else that needs to heal. So if you're wanting to work on that, feel free to send me a message. I'll be happy to share with you how it works, and that it is possible for you to start responding with calm. Our children will trigger us all the time, but it's how we respond. That's a choice that we have. We only have choice. I have a choice if we know why we're reacting, and then we can change that. All right, so I'm going to stop here. If you want more info, feel free to reach out and let me know if this was helpful to you. Take care, everyone. Have a good day, evening. Sending you much love. Bye-bye.